Hello, and thank you for joining us at the Veterans Corner, New England Veterans Liberty House. Today we have a special guest and a good friend, actually. We've become good friends. I've met Billy, which actual name is William Cabrera, by the way. Originally from New York. Before I start getting into your biographical summary. Originally from New York, you were raised here in the city of Lawrence.
Correct.
And now you reside in the city of Lowell.
Correct.
Well, before I get to Mr. Billy here, one of the reasons that I wanted to bring Billy to the show is because he owns a barbershop. It's called Billy's Barbershop, and it's located at 151 Andover Street, Unit B, Lowell, Massachusetts. One thing about this shop that got me, and I've learned this after the fact, so, is that he has a hidden gem in the back of that shop, which many people don't know about, and I'm actually happy and glad that he's here now to be able to get that information out to you all. I'm going to first get into his barbershop and you know what was the thought process behind starting your barbershop, and then in the second segment we're going to get into that little hidden gem that I was talking about. So, Bill, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. Glad you're here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Billy.
First of all, JT, thank you for having me here. I'm very humbled and honored to, you know, come down here and participate in your program.
Same here. Thank you very much.
Like you was introducing me, I'm originally from New York.
What part of New York, by the way?
Manhattan.
Okay.
I grew up in a high volume environment, and
I'm sure you did.
Due to that, you know, that high volume environment, I got physically removed from there and got brought to the city of Lawrence.
No kidding. How old were you then?
The first time that I arrived in Lawrence, I used to come on vacation, and it was on the summertime.
Right.
And the person that I came down here to visit was my grandmother.
Oh, cool.
So through constant coming down for vacation, I ended up just staying down here.
Let me ask you a quick question. Did you drink the water from the margin street of Pocito?
Yes, I did.
Because they say once you drink the water from there, you're done. You're not going nowhere.
Yeah,
so,
and
I'm here.
And unfortunately, I stood here for the rest of my remaining time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember that. I remember that on May Street. We used to go down there, me and my grandmother, and she used to make me carry the gallons of water, and
I think we all did that at one point in our lives.
Correct. And so, you know, I grew up here in the city of Lawrence at a very early age. My grandmother introduced me to the school system, and you know, I came down with a lot of issues, a lot of problems, a whole lot of anger. I was, you know.
How old were you then again?
I was about 5 years old when I was coming down here, and then around the age of 9 is when I permanently stayed in the city of Lawrence.
Were you living in North Lawrence, South Lawrence? Whereabouts?
I grew up in the Hancock Projects.
Oh, okay, so that's North Lawrence.
North Lawrence. Yes, I did.
I'm laughing. I'm sorry because I broke many windows around the Essex Projects area. So, and Hancock Projects is not too far away. So
you and me both. Yeah. So coming down, I came down with a whole lot of anger issues. You know, I was that kid that couldn't sit still, and you know, my grandmother tried to do the best she can with what she had, you know, and all the information that she gathered throughout her years. She was very old school. You
got to understand that it's very, and I keep saying my dad was around for a part of my life, but then they separated, and then my mom was the one really the caretaker, and it's hard, man, to raise, you know, a son, you know, without a male figure really around to show him the rite of passage. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I totally understand, and that's why I think I relate to you on that.
So you know, in that journey that I was on, she tried to do the best she can with what she had. She introduced me to the school system. She enrolled me at the Hennessy School. I remember going there and feeling a little bit different, you know.
An outsider.
An outsider to, you know, the neighborhood, the projects, and you know, I gravitated towards a whole lot of things that I shouldn't gravitated to. I picked up a lot of behaviors that I shouldn't pick pick up.
Sure. So let me ask a question. Then once you got here, obviously that separation anxiety from the knowing where you're at to the unknown. So did you gravitate it? If you like, when I was growing up, I gravitated more to, you know, the brothers in the hood and the gang life, and you know, I gravitated to that because there was that unconditional love that you have. So was that the case for you as well?
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's what I'm referring to. Yeah. I gravitated. I was very influenced, and everybody that was hanging out. I wanted it to be a part of something. I wanted it to be a part of, you know, a family, because I got ripped from...
Yeah, you were detached from an environment that I'm sure you're well known and family surrounded you to now, like, you know, where am I at? You know
exactly.
What I mean? And I relate, because again, being a young man by yourself here, is that you're not just looking for that comfort, you're looking for that security.
That's right.
You know, amongst your peers or amongst your neighborhood. So.
Exactly, and through, you know, practicing these behaviors and hanging around and associating myself with people that were, you know, not doing the right thing, sure. You know, I got physically removed from society, and at a very early age. And what happened was that...
What age are you referring to?
I want to say about the age of 12.
Really?
Right after. You know, at the age of 12, I got physically removed from my grandmother.
And what you mean by physically removed? Were you incarcerated, were you in the juvenile system?
I was in the juvenile system.
Okay, same thing. Yeah. Okay.
Juvenile system, and what happened was that I, you know, like I said, I was practicing in behaviors that I shouldn't, should have been practicing.
Sure. We should have been keeping our nose in the books, but we didn't.
Exactly, and what happened was that society found it fit to place me in a foster home, okay. in a more suitable environment. So
well, that must have been tough for you and your grandmother.
Yeah, it was. It was. Yeah. So here I am once again getting physically removed from a person that I once, you know, that I was getting
you love
to know.
And you're used to, and that's your comfort zone.
Exactly.
You
so
I totally relate.
You know, I you know, through bouncing from institution, from home, that became a way of life. Yeah. You know, yeah. And I remember being in every, you know, city in the state of Massachusetts.
Wow.
From Pittsfield, Massachusetts, all the way up to, you know, all over. Wow. Pretty much all over. And you know, it was hard. You know.
Absolutely.
And
I'm
through
sure.
You know, on
the grace of God.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that, through the grace of God.
Oh, yeah, through the grace of God. You know, there was a point in my life where I seen that I got tired. Yeah. You know, I seen, you know, people that I was growing up with, you know, having lives, you know, getting married, having kids, and so on. And what happened was that, you know, upon one of my releases, re-entering society, I met this wonderful woman, and you know, we got together and I tried to live life. You know, I got this thing called a job, and I tried to,
which many people need to understand that word as well. But I mean, the situation dictates where many are not. So let me not say anything about it and get 1,000 calls about it.
I started participating in this thing called life, and got a job, and I found it difficult.
So at what age now was that portion of your life where you got out again and you realized?
I want to say my whole teenage years were behind, you know,
either in a foster home or in an institution. So I'm going to say till you're 19.
I want to say about my 20s.
20s, okay.
My early 20s. My early 20s, like I said, I met this wonderful woman, and through, you know, her sharing with me and me sharing with her, she bared my children. And
how many children you have?
I have 4 children. I have God 3 bless. Girls, and I got my oldest son.
How old?
He's 27.
27?
27.
So you don't look an old age over like 30. What's going on?
Thank you, JT. Thank you. That's
27. Nice.
27.
And
I have a 19-year-old daughter.
Which I met, gorgeous young lady, by the way.
Yes, she is.
She's gonna break a lot of hearts, so I'm glad you have a dad like you, because
yes,
she's gonna break a lot of hearts.
Yeah, she is.
Which is the second youngest?
The second youngest.
That's the third youngest.
No, that's Yes, Cassandra is 19.
Okay.
Then I have Angelina, that she's 16 and a half, already driving.
Gotcha.
And then I have
Yeah.
a 16-year-old baby.
Yeah, yeah.
Her name is
16
Olivia.
months?
16 months.
Okay. All right, 16 months. And what's her name?
Olivia.
Nice. I just seen it today.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that she's the light of your eye. I'm sure all your kids are, but now you
Yes.
have a 16-year-old month. That definitely will keep you going
Yeah.
and keep you straight. Actually,
Keeps
you know,
me
keep you straight and narrow. Yeah, grounded.
Keeps
Good.
me
4
grounded.
kids. That's beautiful. And your wife's name again?
Hers, my girlfriend, her name is Lorraine Gustafson.
Excuse me, girlfriend. Good, good. Which I had the pleasure of meeting as well.
Yeah, she's a wonderful person. She's my heir.
Yeah.
You know,
You're
she's-
thinking, if you're thinking that that's maybe one of your reasons why you went straight?
No.
No, okay.
No.
He was just tired. He was just tired of the game.
Yeah, I was tired. I was tired. What happened was that I want to say about a little bit over 8 years ago, I found myself back in New York.
Really?
After the separation of my wife,
Okay.
I decided to go back to the city of Manhattan in an effort to reconnect with my family.
At what age was that, Billy?
I think I was about 38.
Really?
I was
Okay.
about 38
So
years
you
old.
decided to take the plunge to go back to an area that you were familiarized with, obviously, and that you were snatched from, really.
Yes.
To go back there and hopefully what?
Reconnect with my family.
Okay.
And in the process of me doing that, I realized that my family, you know, as much as I don't want to admit it, but my family became strangers, and strangers
It happens a
became
lot.
my family.
Yeah.
So after separating from my wife and trying to go back to the city of New York to reconnect with my family,
Right.
I found myself still sitting there being alone. And through that, you know, through shame and guilt of finding myself back once again in
that environment
in
that
that
you
in-
left.
that
You
I
left in the
left.
first place. Well, not really left, but you were taken away from that
Exactly.
environment, brought here, and hopefully to start a new life. But
Exactly.
then again, you end up
exactly.
back in Manhattan.
So about you know, like I said, a little bit over 8 years ago, I had this profound phone call, and it was one of my daughters that called me, and you know, something was happening here in Massachusetts, and she was whining and she was crying, and for the very first time, you know, not the very first time, but I had a moment.
An aha moment, like
I had a moment.
yeah,
I had a moment.
gotcha.
I was given the ability to feel once again,
No kidding.
because through
So through all this time, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Billy. So all this time, from the time that you went into the either foster or institution, it was like well, and maybe I'm talking out of terms, but I feel like you were like numb, like you know you were existing,
I was
but you weren't really like with the norm of society. You were there, but you were just
I was
numb.
participating, but
Yeah.
I didn't have the tools and the skills to really cope with emotions and feelings that I might have been, you know,
That's a good point. Yeah,
that I was processing.
Yeah, I
It was-
call those coping mechanisms, right?
Exactly.
You and I, during our youth and younger days, 'cause
Yes.
we're not spring chickens anymore, but during those younger days,
we use other
You're-
methods
yeah,
to
we
cope.
exactly. Many other methods other than the right methods to use to move forward, to forgive, to forget, you know, stuff like that. So I totally relate, because it's like I didn't have any of those coping mechanisms, and I did probably what you did, and instead went out there, started smoking, started drinking, started doing stuff that I shouldn't be doing, because I didn't know how to properly release. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I get you, and I respect you, and thank you for sharing that with us.
Yep, and that's what I mean. I was, you know, and I need to, you know, go back a little bit, you know, because when my wife at the time gave birth to my daughters, you know, for the very first time I was able to feel something,
Yeah.
something that was very pure to me.
Yeah,
You know, something that I
It's
held.
unconditional love, my friend.
It is something that I can't
Unconditional
even
love.
describe.
Yeah.
And, you know, And when I laid eyes on, you know, my girls, it was like,
they had you wrapped around the little fingers from the first
not
time
so
you laid
much,
out.
not
Oh,
so much
mine
wrapped,
did.
not
Mine
so
did.
much
Yeah.
wrapped around my finger, but that's when I came to the crossroads of my life, and I wanted to do something real different. Yeah. And I started doing, like I said, I started participating and trying to find myself and find a place within my society, my community, that way I can participate in. And I found it very difficult because, like I said, I really didn't have the tools or the information or the knowledge on how to cope with life and life stresses.
Sure.
So what happened was...
Which is a lot of them.
Which was a lot of them. And through the inability of me not being able to hold it down, you know,
got away from you.
I got away from me, and I ended up back in New York. So getting back to a little bit over 8 years ago, and I got that profound phone call is when I say, you know, I lost myself within those emotions and feelings.
And your kids were
here in Massachusetts, and called me, and I happened to have a phone at the time, and I picked up, and she was crying and whining, and I was distraught. You know, I was, you know, in my own little world, you know, feeling a lot of shame and guilt. And I truly believe today that my, you know, my God, of my understanding, my angels were working through my daughters.
Sure.
Because through that conversation is when I had that moment and the ability to feel once again.
Yeah. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
It was an amazing.
Yeah.
And that's when my journey began.
Nice.
Because 2 hours after that,
you headed out.
I headed out to a bus stop.
No kidding.
4 hours after that, I found myself back in Massachusetts. 2 hours after that, I found myself in a detox because I had to put myself in a facility where I was able and capable to put all my thoughts and all the information.
Gather thoughts and be able, because you know what I say a lot of people now, and it's like our life doesn't belong to us.
No.
Our life belongs to our kids right now. And I commend you for even taking that first step, because that's a very courageous step. Not very many people realize that they have a problem and they actually do something about it, right? It usually takes either the intervention of someone else or, you know, for you, and I did the same thing. It's like I came to a point and realized that I'm not effective. I'm not. I am not attending to my obligations in the manner that I think a man should once you bear children, right? And so, for you to realize that and take that upon yourself, I commend you, man. I really do. I really do. I didn't know this part about you, but I have more respect for you.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Like I said, I put myself.
What was your drug of choice back then?
I did heroin.
Heroin. Okay.
I did everything and anything that you know, I can escape from.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what it was.
I hear you.
You know, that's my drug of choice was more. My drug of choice was anything and anything not to feel.
Yeah. Just to numb yourself.
Exactly.
Just numb yourself. So let me ask this then. When you got back, you got yourself to detox.
So 7 days after that, I went into a holding.
For the record, I don't think that 7 days of detox is long enough, but nonetheless, that's what they give us.
That's what they give us.
Yeah.
So from 7 days, I knew that. And what happened was that I tried to exercise anything that I could while I was in that detox. And I found a place where I can go to, which was called the Holden. And that was, a Holden is a facility where people can go and await for a long-term program.
So would it be, all right, maybe I'm wrong, but like a sober living home?
It's sort of like, it's a facility where they house an individual that's in the process of moving forward with their recovery.
So is it a state institution? Is it a private institution? Is it what is it? I mean, because
there's many facilities, there's many institutions.
Where you went to, what was it?
I went to a state-funded facility.
Okay, all right, and that's why a lot of people don't sometimes understand the difference. And there's a lot of places out there where you could go. I mean, not a lot of places. I mean, it's places out there. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. But a lot of them too is like say individuals that are in a lower socioeconomic area the options that they have is
very limited.
Yeah, very limited. So
Very
there's
limited.
And then the state is like a waiting list sometimes. You know, wait a
Correct.
minute, we don't have no beds. Let's see what tomorrow
Correct.
happens. And you know, and I know in this field that we have a really short window of opportunity. And if you miss that short window of opportunity, you're done.
It's all over. It's
So you
all
went
over.
there. You went to the holding. How long were you there? And then
I was
tell me
there
about-
for 3.5 months. Shortly,
Wow.
3.5 months after.
sober all this time.
Yes.
But you're not good for you.
3.5 months. Shortly after that, I found myself doing a residential program, which was called the Halfway House, and
Okay.
that was a 6 months program.
That's a place where you go. You could go and work during that time. But
Correct.
you have to check in a certain time.
Correct.
You'll have your analysis exams going on. So it's very well monitored.
Yes,
Okay.
it's a structured environment, and it's what I needed.
And that's what we need, exactly.
And
Yeah.
it's what I needed, and I'm very grateful for the halfway house that I went to. They enabled me to not think about, you know, life on life terms, but to focus on me,
Yeah, one day at a time.
one day at a time, and build my spirits, you know, because
Yeah.
many need
Take
to
care of your mind.
take care of my
Your
mind.
mind, your soul, your spirit.
And I
you know
was
what mean?
able to do that while I was there through counseling, through groups, through group sessions, through.
So was this
building a
mandatory, all
network.
the classes and all the meetings? That's all mandatory during that process that you're there, right?
That's part of the agreement and contract that you
Okay.
sign once entering residential.
So they'll
home.
hold you accountable for being
hold
at
you
your places.
accountable.
Good. And again, in our situation, we need that structure. One of the things that a lot of my friends a few years back, they're like, where did you go? I mean, you were here 1 minute and then you were gone. Well, the first time, again, I was in your shoes, and in order for me to not go down that same path that a lot of my friends did, I wanted to take a different path. So what was that different path? For me, I joined the Marines, right? It squared me away like that. I got out a few years, took a 10 break of service, and then started working on my own. And I really didn't have someone to tell me when to go to work, how to do my work, you know what I mean? It was all up to me. So I didn't have no one really guiding me or keeping me grounded.
Yes.
So I got out of control, fell back to my old ways, and I was getting out of control again. I was like, what am I going to do? I've been through about 7 detox, you know. The last one, I was like, if you guys let me out of here, I know I'll be back. I said, so it'd be best to take me from here, take me somewhere where you're gonna lock me up, not lock me up, but get me the help that I need for 30, 90 days, whatever it is, but don't let me out because I know what's gonna happen. Sure as hell, let me out, went out. So I said, what can I do, man, to get me back on track? Because obviously my detox is not working. This is not working. I was like, I'll join the military again. And that's what I did. I joined the RVF, called it a midlife crisis, but I ended up joining the military again, and sure as hell, here I am. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of different forms and ways that, believe it or not, that you people out there that need help with any type of addiction. I'm a true believer if you go out there to find it, you'll find it. You'll find it. And all I can say
Absolutely.
is, hold on to hope, because there is help out there. So we're not going to have much time here because I know that we're getting into a conversation about you, but let me talk to you a little bit about, you got back to Massachusetts, you found your kids, you found yourself that you're back in a straight and narrow path, and many blessings to you as well from this point on. And thank God that you were able to get out of that, what I call the black cloud that was surrounding us for so many years, and here you are today. And I'm a true believer that what we did back then doesn't reflect the kind of men we are today. Because the kind of men that we are, it's not about selfishness. It's not about not worrying. It's totally the opposite. It's like people like you and I are now about, okay, how can we pay it forward, right?
Absolutely.
How did I get here, and what am I doing? And so with my success, right? And I'm not full of riches. I don't need that. But I'm sober, I'm happy, I'm content, and I'm able to pay it forward. And I think that's what you bring to the table. I want to be real quick, Billy. Tell me, once that happens, I want to know is, How did you, after all that you've been through, said, I want to open up one of the best barbershops in the Merrimack Valley? Because you are. I'm gonna tell you, his barbershop is mystique, and it's a place where you go. The first time I visited, to me, it didn't look like a barbershop. Why are you guys laughing, man? I can hear you guys laughing. It's not a barbershop. It's a place where it's like you're seeing Ice Cube. Yeah. The barbershop,
yeah.
That's how I feel that your barbershop is. It's like you go to a place, you're gonna get a good haircut, but at the same token, you're gonna have really good conversation. So tell me, how did you, what inspired you to start a barbershop?
Well, I'm a person that's been cutting for quite some time, and through growing up, I always enjoyed helping. And cutting hair.
Yeah.
So I used to do it in the projects. I found myself doing it in institutions. I found myself, always cutting hair. So when I came onto this road and I was trying to find myself and I was trying to find something that I enjoyed to do and loved to do, barbering came into play.
No kidding.
So what happened was that I put myself through school. I was able and capable of, achieving that, completing it, and I got licensed, and I started working at a local barbershop, and through working through in my industry, you get to talk to everybody.
You get to meet a lot of people. Yeah.
And through conversation, and I always wanted it to do something. I had this vision. In my mind, and working at the location that I was working at, I couldn't explore that. I couldn't expand.
Yeah.
I couldn't expand. So I prayed on it. I called a couple of people that I was networking with, and I shared with them my vision. They thought I was a little crazy.
Okay. Some do when you want to start a business. So
I took a leap of faith.
Good
and what happened was that I walked through those fears, and I started looking for a location.
Yeah.
And I found this awesome location, which happened to be a substation for the police.
Yeah, I know. I used to go to that street a lot. Listen, let's catch that up on the second segment, but we don't have much time. I'm going to go ahead, come back, touch on the second segment, and we're going to briefly touch on the Billy's Barbershop and finish off your conversation. Until then, we'll see you soon.